Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Super Easy Simplicity Trades on my YouTube channel, of course, with yours truly, Jenny Baker. If this is your first time here, first off, thank you for chiming in. Say we're going to do a real quick job of looking over some trades we looked at in 20 minutes or less about 2 weeks ago. Actually, I think this is a little less time to be more transparent and see how they performed. So this time, of course, we don't always have a 90% accuracy. Sometimes we do, like in the big picture. But here's the deal. We had like a 50% accuracy and still managed to get over 472 pips, which, as you guys know, means with the standard lot on your traditional, or that's an unfair word to say, on most of the brokers that we work with and recommend, on standard lot, that's about $4,000 on, a 50% winning ratio. If you had flat lot sized across the board. Now, granted, there's some nuances that go in there in terms of pip values per pair and other things, but needless to say, it's amazing what's possible. So if you like this content and are excited about what we're launching, what we're building, and some new things that we've got coming finally after a whole bunch of time and many years in the process, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe and all that jazz that helps the algorithms of YouTube do what they need to do to get this video out in front of more people. With that said, I'm going to make sure we show you the disclaimer real quick to say, hey, everything we talk about on this call, or in this case, this recording, is meant for educational purposes only. Nothing is to be considered financial, legal, or investing advice. And of course, last but not least, I practice high risk, high reward kind of trading styles for the most part. Now, granted, I've got some lower risk styles as well and approaches to bigger accounts, to bigger things that I'm doing. But the concept of this YouTube and kind of what we're building more on the public side is to show you that the everyday person can make a boatload of money in trading. And when I say a boatload of money, I don't mean your Gucci belt. If you value that, by all means, go bling out, go drip, and do what you got to do. But most of us are just looking for freedom, right? We're just looking for a way to change the trajectory of our families' lives, of our future. We're tired of having to trade time for money, the whole concept. So this skill, once you learn it, literally can do that. But without further ado, let's go take a look at those trades. And then this week we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 really good potential trades. Actually more than that, but I had to hold myself back versus discussing them all. So let's go take a look at those charts now. Alrighty, so on June 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so it's the 21st chart time at about the 1 o'clock candle, we took a look at 4 different pairs. You'll notice that those 4 pairs are highlighted in my cool tool that I've got down here. And we're going to see that not all of them played out perfectly. Not all of them were great. But we can also see in real time what's possible if we're consistently managing the way that we're discussing. Now, there's some other things that you need to know as you grow that really make or break a trading style, such as management, obviously lot sizes, and sticking with a single strategy. But beyond that, this is so simple, and most people really miss the foundation of what makes trading actually possible. So first and foremost, I'm on USD CAD. Ooh, my screen share portion is not perfect, but I'll have to kind of fix this a little bit. I'm going to expand it, I suppose, is going to be the best way to do that, so we can actually show the things I'm trying to show. But you can see that we discussed that trade in and around here. We said, hey, at the break of that fractal, we know how we do what we do, because we say the same thing every single week. It's not subjective. It's not, well, I didn't know any better. Somebody else might have said. It's all clearly written and defined. So on June 21st, candle time, right? The 1 o'clock candle, which is right here, we said, hey, we're looking for a sell. We knew to anticipate a pullback, right? We got our first 59 pips. We got a pullback that never broke structure. And of course, moved a total of about 145 pips. Not a bad way to be. I actually only got 92 on this one, probably because of management, but needless to say, 92 pips is not a bad way to be. 92 pips can pay a lot of people's bills if you're getting that consistently. So yes, we did end up coming up within range. And if and when this confirms to sell off again, I would still be looking for a potential sell. But as of right now, we're not looking. And this does match our criteria, not once, but twice. The criteria is pretty simple. You're up 50 pips, you're definitely protecting. Protecting meaning applying a trailing stop, closing out a portion of your trade, you're using management to scale out, you're moving your stop loss into profit, or of course you can decide to close it. We know where our stop losses are, we know how we're entering, and we know all of that. And this is all public, duplicatable. This is all it's easy. Like it's as easy as you make it. So needless to say, that was not a bad trade, not perfect, not ideal whatsoever. Of course, we got this huge, another impulse up. As of right now, we're done. So I'm going to make sure I clear this out, remove my drawn objects. They're all gone, and we're going to close that pair out for that time period. Next was Australian US dollar, which was actually our second losing trade. This one I took a decent loss on. I had two entries, one for my scalping group and one for this right here. So I had this on two different accounts, which I typically don't make that decision. But in this case, I was overly confident, right? We're supposed to come to the table and be honest. This, in all fairness, does break the most recent fractal. It happens barely, maybe baby right here, and then again right here. So this activated me in, okay? I was in this trade no matter how you look at it. Of course, structure is either here or here. I ended up taking a total of 130 pips stop loss on this because I was using structure plus a spring, right? Room for one ATR of a spring is how I was defining my structure. And I got knocked out actually on two different accounts using two different management styles. So as of today that we're looking at it, when and if this confirms, we've got a nice double bottom, but this also not a great trade overall. Just the US dollar has been doing a whole bunch of stuff with the news, the summer, the holiday, and all the stuff going on overseas, of course. But that's the purpose of this, is not every trade is amazing. It's to see what's possible even when they're not amazing. Anybody can show you the stuff on a daily basis of, oh, look what I've made, or here's another screenshot. But what can you do consistently, month after month, week after week, year after year? That's where your real money's coming from, right? Let's keep going. Let's take a look at Ripple. This was really the saving grace. This got us the most pips by far. So I'm going to come here, keep moving to the right. I'm looking at the very bottom of my time to see when that candle is. We knew we were looking for a break of this most recent fractal, which in this case would have been up here, okay? So from that most recent fractal, this one moved for a total of 580 pips. I actually got 560 out of it, just again, due to my management. Beautiful trade. Plus, I was really tracking the cryptos at the time. Needless to say, great play out. And I'm actually looking again today. So this really was the saving grace for the week that allowed us to still end the week in profit. If it hadn't have been like an index or a crypto, 50% winning ratio is not enough usually. I mean, it can be, depending on management, of course, but 50% in general, not usually enough to stay positive. But great trade overall on that one. Last but not least, we had two winners, two losers. We were looking at CAD Chef for a buy. And I already marked this up today, of course. We were looking for a buy at fractal and now. So let's go find that exact time on our chart and see what we see. So looking at the bottom of the screen, looking for the right time that we did that YouTube. That happened in and around here. When this happened, so we're trying to follow rules that are duplicatable, that can prove a point to the masses, to yourself, to your neighbor, to your children, to your mother if she's computer savvy. But the point is, if you follow the exact rules over and over again, can you be profitable? So in this case, technically speaking, we got 35 pips out of it. But since this does not and did not manage in that way, I did not close this out in profit. Our most recent structure was here and here. That plus a spring, right? I lost a total of 80 pips on this one altogether, I believe, something around there. 80-ish pips. So here was structure 59, 54. Here's structure 65. If you're adding in the one ATR, okay, that equals about a 70, 80 pip stop loss. That's how much I lost on this. And I didn't scale out in time because this hadn't moved enough for my first scale outs according to the strategy to activate. So this one, although kind of in range, kind of forming just a spring on a higher time frame, still knocked me out with a loss. So those are our 4 trades that we looked at on Tuesday, the 20th at approximately 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's take this moment to look at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is it 7? Yeah, it's 7. 7 trades we have lined up. This happens to be one of them, so it's kind of the perfect time to leave this up on our screen. So let's take a look. CAD Chef, and for this purpose, I am going to go to a higher time frame. First off, check out this big drop. Check out how long this is consolidated. Kind of got a maybe baby quasi head and shoulders forming right here. Beautiful formation. Yes, you can wait to the break of that structure. Yes, we do have a current sell arrow on the simplicity system, but check this out. When we go to the 4 hour, we've got a really big void. that makes this a great risk to reward. And we also have a brand new 4-hour potential signal popping up. So with that in mind, let's game out why I'm looking at this right where I'm looking at this and not waiting for a 1-hour confirmation beyond the confirmations I already have. I've got my 1-hour trade that has not paid out. This is just a pullback based off of the algorithm that Simplicity uses, not necessarily a make it or break it. Plus, we've never had any continuation beyond the arrow, meaning I should continue or consider this arrow down. Having said that, again, triple bottom or head and shoulders. From where price is currently at, if I use structure even at the very lowest point, plus an ATR cushion, I'm looking at maybe, what is that, 97-ish pips, right? 97-ish pips for a stop loss. If I'm even just going to where previous areas where price has stopped, I'm already at a 1-to-1 and a 2.5, 3 almost to 1, just to fill the void that's been created, which makes this a really easy, good risk to reward trade. So again, my stop loss is going to give this some room. You don't have to have it as big as mine. You can, of course, choose here if you're wanting to, or here even. I would want to give it a little more room. I just know that to get 50 pips out of this and protect within that range is really simple to do. 50 pips is barely breaking a high. Once we break this high, I would anticipate a pullback and take it again personally. So zooming in, there's no recent fractal. So on this one, like I did last week, if I could find my pen, I'm going to say buy at now. Okay. I'm buying this at now time. So we've got that notated. We'll have, of course, the account history and all that other good jazz, but still great overall trade, great way to be, great consideration. If you've never traded before, you're just learning with me, take this in your demo. Come along for the ride. It takes, 40 to 50 minutes a month. See what's possible before you commit yourself, your funds, and your hopes and your dreams to a whole bunch of different nonsensory that you probably don't need and is probably going to confuse you. Let's take this journey together completely for free and just see what you can accomplish in a demo following the same rules. So that's number one. This one, I know everyone has been tracking, including myself. We've got a potential, I dare say it does qualify as a head and shoulders, not quite, kind of off in terms of the size of the shoulders, definitely a triple top. We've got our most recent sell signal on USD JPY 1-hour time frame. I'm looking for a sell of this at the break of this fractal. So again, let's talk risk and reward. I'm going to zoom out, make those candles really ugly. We have an enormous amount of a void. But I also know that even if we only get bound down into here, my risk to reward is still really good. So from where price is currently at, even if I'm using the very, very high, I'm looking at about what, $1.75 for a stop loss down to the previous structure. I'm still 2-to-1. 2-to-1 is really good for a swing trade that you don't have to babysit. I would anticipate some kind of a pullback at this point. And of course, if we get the confirmation, I would be looking, this is going to be off, but all the way down into this range, which we've got 2 weeks to see if this plays out or how this plays out. Remember, you've got to give this room. We can't choke it. So stop loss is going to be up here with a 1 ATR set of cushion. You're going to protect within 50 pips and you're going to enter based off of the break of this fractal. Fairly simple, easy to follow kind of management style. Pick your risk percentage for the account that you're using and do that accordingly. Obviously, demo is better, especially if you're new. Next is Ripple. I'm totally in love with the cryptos right now. I've been ready and playing with them quite often, more often than I had in a while. Again, we caught this buy beautifully. Here we are again, a buy and a correction. Now I'm really looking to see what this does. This was not enough to break previous structures. We pulled all the way down, got all the rest of those orders, and I'm looking for this to buy up. So risk and reward wise, if I could talk, we're really good. I'm really looking to see this W pay off quite well. We'll see how it plays out, but this is also on our trade list for the next 2 weeks. Next, before I go to the next pair, let's talk. We've got quite a few of the same currency on here. So before I even bother to entertain what the next pairs are, I need to preface that you can't over leverage your account. You can't be in 7 or 8 pairs if you're trading 10 to 20%, risk. You also can't be in 7 pairs if 5 of them have the same currency. So whenever there's a lot of setups happening with comparable currencies, pick the best ones that have the most room to run or the best risk to reward ratios. You cannot pick them all. even if you were doing a 1% risk, I still wouldn't advise being in every single, in this case, chef pair, for example. So please do your due diligence on that aspect, just so you don't get yourself in trouble. And now let's go take a look first at, if I can find it, CAD is next on my list. I really love how this one's playing out. I will notate a potential weakness in this particular trade. We've got a beautiful double bottom. We've got a nice impulse that broke structure. So the two weaknesses I see in this trade, now I still like it, just so you know, I still am looking at this to buy at the break of this fractal. I'm saying I'm buying at the break of this fractal, period, no matter what. Having said that, I still need to at least address two things. Number one, price is sitting at where price broke out before, which means this very easily could have been a retest and a continuation to the long-term downtrend that we're already seeing. Very, very possible. Weakness number two is this is a decent move, like for this pair particularly. This would make for a pretty big stop loss for this pair. Notice how it's already 1.3-ish of the ADR. So it's already a pretty hefty stop loss compared to how much you're looking to gain. Your risk to reward favorability isn't really great on this pair. Still like it. I'm still taking it, but just so you guys know. So we call a spade, and we at least discuss the strengths and weaknesses on the different setups that we're looking at. I am ultimately still looking at this to buy. We've got a nice double bottom. We're breaking out of that W. I'm looking for the bare minimum of a measured move, which means at least 124-ish pips. Great way to be. Put that on our watch list. Next, we've got Odd Chef. This I like better. The only problem is I like all of the chefs better because the chefs are really, really consolidating. They're settling down from their big runs, and they all, almost all, look like they're about ready to pop off. Now, we can't take them all. You're going to have to decide which of these you actually want on your, trade list for the next week or two. But this is Odd Chef. Nice, beautiful impulse retest. Again, made a higher high. We were really showing we're changing directions. We retested, filled this void, formed a can't see it really well, but you formed a triple bottom, you formed a head and shoulder. So beautifully, now I'm really looking for this to take off. So it has literally already broken the most recent fractal on the 1 hour time frame. So yeah, we know exactly what we're looking for. Now, risk and reward wise, if I really zoom this in, is stinking beautiful compared to how low we are. Even just to come up and fill the void on the head and shoulders, you're still looking up in and around that 66.81 range. Beyond that, you're looking for it to fill this void. You're looking around that. Let's see if I can talk properly. We're looking somewhere in that 67.5, so 0.6759 range, which again still makes this a great risk to reward trade. And of course, last but not least, I'd be looking all the way up here at the 69.63 kind of range. The risk to reward on this is very much so in your favor, meaning you have way more to gain than you do to lose. So definitely in love with this one. It's on my watch list for sure. I'm taking this trade. Again, it's already broken that fractal, so you can wait for the most recent next one, or of course you can take it now. But that's Odd Chef. Next, we've got Odd JPY. We're not taking that. CAD Chef, we already discussed that, and it is already marked here. What else do we have? GBP Chef. So let me actually click on it instead of using my keyboard. Again, unfortunately, this is a chef pair, but we don't have any other GBPs on the board. So I really like this one a lot as well. I'm going to zoom in to show you. Before I do that, I'm going to mark up all the way where I'm looking for this to go. Now, mind you, I do think we're going to get some noise in between them. We're not just going to shoot up. We're going to get a nice pullback in this range. We're going to get a nice pullback in this range. But ultimately, I'm looking for it to come retest this void. But let's take a look. Again, triple bottom. We've got a lot of reason. We've got a really tight stop loss, and we're coming in on breaking that fractal now. So we've got our simplicity buy signal. We've retested and failed to make a lower low. Lots of wicks, lots of noise. We know that we can protect within 50 pips, which just makes this an ideal trade across the board. This is one of those trades that I would track kind of heavily, depending on your trading style, and I would take multiple entries in over the next however long it takes for this to play out. It might be a few days, might be a week or two, but ultimately you've got the potential for, at least couple of trades on this particular move, which if we're going to measure it to show you, make it really ugly. We're entering in around here, has a good 700-ish pips in potential. And even if I go low, I'm looking at maybe 120-ish pip stop loss. So again, great potential on this trade, but, and that's a big but, there's a lot going on overseas. So we have to be very mindful of the war and the economics and the things that can manipulate this. So, but still great trade. I'm in love with it. Definitely maybe consider taking this one at the break of a fractal. And last but not least is, you guessed it, another chef pair, which is a little discouraging because, you know, it's too many chef pairs. But look at all these amazing formations. So again, triple bottom, we're breaking out, most recent fractal, measured move style, even from where price is currently at, you're looking at a good 90-ish pips, 85 pips. Most recent structure is 55 pips away, 74 pips plus a 1 ATR cushion. You're at a 1-to-1 at the bare minimum target. So your bare minimum target here, you're already at a 1-to-1. You're good. You get some kind of a reaction. Cool, we can handle that. Whoopsie. I knew better. Otherwise, we're looking for this to come up not so crooked, but you know, I don't have the room to fix that at this very moment. Great risk reward trade. Just makes it a really good trading environment. So I try not to make these longs because I'm trying to prove a point. I'm trying to show that you don't have to sacrifice your time, your brain, a whole bunch of money. You don't have to know it all. You just need really good, sound rules consistently, time and time again, to be able to find results in the market. There are a bajillion ways to do it, bajillion different strategies and management styles. They all have strengths and weaknesses. But at the end of the day, it comes down to what you can learn, what you can stick with, what you can afford. And that's it. Most of the factors are you. So let's get that on our watch list. That gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trades. And with that said, I'm going to come back here. Let me find out. I'll tell you together on the 19th. Okay. The 19th of July, we'll come on here and I will take a look and say, how did these perform? What happened next? What can we expect? How can we improve upon? Can we get any more reentries? Oh, those are all done. What are the next things that are coming up on our board? And that's it. So in the meantime, we're getting all the teams in place that we can actually start editing some YouTubes and getting a little bit more proficient, baby steps. Lord knows I'm great at trading and great at some things, not great at the others. So if you have certain topics that you want to see covered in like an actual trading educational format, as in not sales pitchy, not constantly promoting the next big thing, but just how do you do this? Please do let me know in the chats. We're going to compile a list. We already are compiling a list of things that I can help with. At least if it's within my control, I will do what it is in my control. At least once a week is what I'm putting on my calendar once the munchkins go back to school. So wish me luck. Either way, we'll see. I hope you guys all have a beautiful first 2 weeks of July. I hope you saw the best fireworks yesterday, and take care and God bless.